Another edition to the Traction Reaction Podcast. I'm Steve Zautke.
Jeff Orloski.
And Jeff, another week in the NASCAR circus as they rotate throughout the country. And last week they're in Dover. Now, I'll be honest, for those that listen to the Final Inspection Show and that know me, I'm not a fan of Dover. Dover, of course, built, about 1968, 69. Was originally asphalt. They concreted it, probably about 20, 30 years ago already. And it just, for me, aesthetically, it's not visually appealing, if that makes sense. It's an ugly track, if you ask me. But it's not one of my favorite. I mean, you talk to any race fan, NASCAR fan, they're all going to have their top 5 tracks, top 4, and then the ones that are kind of on the bottom. And Dover is right there in that bottom 4 very easily. Fans have listened to us in the past know our favorites are Richmond, Bristol. We like the plate races. I like the road courses more than you do. But what else? Anything we're missing?
Darlington.
Darlington. Yeah, there you go. So right there. I mean, if you like the one thing we did like about last year when they brought the season back, and during the pandemic, were the tracks they were at. I mean, so those tracks were good tracks, fun tracks. But like I said, I mentioned to you off the air on a call a couple days ago. I said I watched highlights from Dover last year. Oh man, was that depressing? Very depressing. I think as we move forward, when we see like NFL films or something, or NBA, whatever sport it is, anything from the 2020 season, everybody's just gonna go kind of cringe a little bit. Jeff, last year, Stewart-Haas. What happened to Hendrick? I said, Hendrick is getting there. They're getting there. Now it looks like Hendrick they're on top of the game, aren't they?
Yeah, they're on fire. 1 through 4 finish, first time ever for Rick Hendrick, and obviously he's had quite the stable for decades now. So an amazing day for that team as a whole. Chevys, for the most part, have just completely rebounded. They struggled last season, and I don't know if that was because of the new car, trying to figure out the air and stuff like that. The Fords definitely had an advantage last year, and it looks like Chevy definitely caught up and passed them so far this season. The RCR cars are running well, also. So it's not just Rick Hendrick, that has found all this speed lately. There's other teams in the Chevy camp that are hauling the mail as well.
Yeah, and if you look past several years, and the suits in Daytona must love it, because you had Joe Gibbs that were operating at such a level. They were dominating for a while. And then you had Penske and Stewart-Haas with Ford. They were looking good. Now you got the return of Hendrick. And Hendrick has been ebbing and flowing back and forth. But I think you could see when they chose guys like Bowman and William Byron, not only was he saving a crap load of money by signing those guys, but these were young guns that had a bright future. And now Mr. Hendrick is paying those dividends. And then plus adding Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and William Byron. You got the defending champion. Chase Elliott is a legitimate superstar. Nobody is wondering about Kyle Larson's abilities. He's right up there. And you have Bowman and Byron, who are just, like I said, they're certainly rewarding Hendrick with their driving, especially this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when they first did this whole quote unquote youth movement over at Hendrick, I know for sure I was skeptical as hell. I didn't think it was going to work all that well, especially when you go from Gordon, Johnson, Dale Jr., those guys. And now all of a sudden you got Bowman, Byron, and Chase. And, Chase has definitely silenced all the doubters with his massive success. But, Bowman, 2 wins already so far this season. Willie B has made victory lane once already.
Yep.
So it's amazing, and the fact that all of their drivers have been to victory lane with the exception of Chase Elliott. And we
Yeah,
know that's coming because here comes the road courses.
right.
So a hell of a start to the season for them. However, being a Kevin Harvick fan like I am, I watched this last year and watched him dominate all season long and not even make the final round in the playoffs and come up short for the championship. So it's definitely not decided, but Hendrick they've got some serious power.
Wouldn't it be interesting if, let's say, if we go through the summer, Hendrick continues to dominate, Bowman, Larson, all those guys keep winning races. Things are looking good for the playoffs. Interesting if Hendrick or Harvick kind of lays in the weeds and okay, he got a sixth place at Dover, but it maybe starts inching up a little bit, and then just hits his stride right during the playoffs and steals a championship from Chase Elliott or Bowman or who knows, or Larson or whatever. It would be kind of like the old tit for tat.
Yeah, it
I
would
mean,
be
let's face
perfect.
it. The old system, that was Harvick's championship. I mean, the domination he showed, but just kind of tailed off just a little bit, and a couple of DNFs that screwed him over. So it would be kind of interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, Chevrolet. You look at Tyler Reddick has been running strong. Yet Suarez is showing glimpses. Austin Dillon, who let's be honest, we're not the biggest Austin Dillon fans, but I think I gotta admit, over the last year or so, I've seen a different maturity from him, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. He's not making the same stupid mistakes. And, I think the reason why I don't dislike him as much as I have in previous years is they're not showing him every single week with that stupid cowboy hat on there, pre-race and all that kind of stuff. They look great. And yes, it would be a nice payback if Harvick or even Hamlin gets hot at the end and sits there and takes the title away from Hendrick, because that's what happened last season.
Josh Berry got in the race, making subbing, and certainly looked good, didn't he, for a while? And what a great story for 2021.
Yeah, he is. He is. And, that kid just has just immense talent. And, he kind of did it the right way, the quote unquote right way, where, he bided his time and stuff like that. He knew that, the belief in him was strong. And he's definitely showing everybody right that bet on him. He did do well. He sat there and made positions on the track while he was still around in the race and all that. And, it sucks that, it took Justin Haley getting Corona for him to get in the car, but, hey, whatever it takes. And he made the most of his opportunity.
Yeah, this is a guy who got picked up by Dale Jr. and he's holding the seat until Sam Mayer is old enough to get into that car. But I think with his abilities and what he's able to show, and also with juniors motorsports, Kelly Earnhardt and that group may be able to put together a sponsor package and maybe do something with him. Continue. This is a guy who's not a money racer. This is a guy who's getting in because of his ability. So. And that certainly is a good story in NASCAR. A kid who's 30 years old who at this point could be skewed as an old man. I mean, you look at these kids coming in now, these are 19, 20 years old. Here's this kid, 30 years old. It's a great story. It certainly, it makes, guys like me who's been around the sport for a while and gets frustrated with, guys with checks coming in. I think this might end up being a good story with Josh Berry, who's showing that he belongs, whether it's the Xfinity Series or in the Cup Series. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up. I think it'll be in the Xfinity Series, but it would be nice to see if they're able to put together a package for him. Because let's face it, it's expensive to run in any of the top three NASCAR series, and he is certainly a good story. This is an interesting story too. Talk about Brad Keselowski, who finished 16th. Not a great day for him at Dover, But there's a little thing on Jayski here. Brad Keselowski to Roush with an ownership role. It says that Brad Keselowski is considering an offer to become the next NASCAR Cup Series driver with an ownership interest in the sport. Now, it's my understanding he signed for next year with Penske. So could we see maybe him doing that? Let's say Jack Roush is an old guy. They may be, he may be thinking, I plan on, Jack Roush may be thinking, I'm planning to be here for the next 10 years, whether he is or not. I mean, who knows if you or I are going to be here in the next 10 years? You never know. Could it be another situation like the Denny Hamlin situation?
I hope not.
I mean, NASCAR, I'm sure, because you look at the age of the ownership group, and this is the same with IndyCar and some of the other sports. You look at Formula One too. Where are these young owners coming from? Where and I'm sure they've had conversations in Daytona and Charlotte about this. Daytona was very, very happy with what they were able to put together with that 23 team. It makes a lot of sense for Joe Gibbs Racing, and I'm wondering if you'll see something like this. I'm pretty sure you're going to see Keselowski in the number 2 car next year, but could they put another driver in there? Austin Cindric is going to be one of those 3 cars.
Yeah, I really hope that this season and what's going on with Denny Hamlin being co-owner of Bubba Wallace's car this week definitely shines the light on the bad part of that relationship. You had Denny sitting there racing Bubba Wallace on the track for position. Bubba was ahead of him. Bubba wasn't going to pull over and let him by. He raced him hard.
Yeah.
And, he sat there, he blocked the hell out of him and all that kind of stuff. And while that was going on over the radio, Denny's calling out both the spotter and the crew chief on Bubba Wallace's car. Well, now, if you're Joe Gibbs, what the hell are you worried about that car for? You should be worried about the number 11. And why aren't you, why are you sitting there calling out other crew chiefs and spotters who Denny's writing checks for? So it's opening up a can of worms. This week definitely shined the light on it. We said that when they announced the 2311 partnership, it was basically a 5th Gibbs car.
Yeah.
And Denny's comments during the race show that. And B, it also shows that he's driving around thinking about a hell of a lot more than just getting that 11 in victory lane week after week. And that's not really fair to Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, it certainly is. We got Circuit of the Americas coming up this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. First time for NASCAR to go to the Circuit of Americas. Interesting situation there too. Of course, located in Austin. It's a new track, even though they've been going there for, I think, about 10 years now. Formula One is built as a Formula One track. They've had some money problems. I wouldn't want to be making mortgage payments on a racetrack right now. And they may be losing that F1 race, whether they lose it completely or there's been talk, there's been some trial balloons floated out there of that F1 date floating between Indianapolis and Austin. I think that's pretty intriguing because you kind of get people, I mean, let's face it, that's an expensive ticket. And the F1 race in Austin, which is interesting, draws in. The reason why it's called the Circuit of the Americas is because they acknowledge their fan base. Formula One is not just Texas, not just the US, not just Canada, but also Mexico and a lot of Brazilians, a lot of people in South America who come up. And for some of them, that's their trip for the year. And if anybody that went to, my eyes were really opened up when I went to a Formula One race in Indianapolis. The atmosphere was unlike anything I've ever seen before. Every time a Ferrari would come out of the garage, the Tifosi would be screaming. It was like a soccer match. Incredible, much more than just at a NASCAR race when there's an accident, everybody stands up. I mean, these fans were into it. I couldn't believe it. Very exciting. And you just feed off that atmosphere. With the Circuit of Americas, they're looking at other ways. You have to bring in people. You have to, to the track. And whether it's this bringing in IMSA, which they've done, IndyCar, now NASCAR, that's the name of the game for them. They're going to have to bring in driving schools, everything. You got to get people, you got to have track use, you got to generate income. You should have a lot of fans there, should generate a lot of interest. And, it's, you got guys like, this is the first time at that track. So you got even Kevin Harvick in the Xfinity race driving for BJ McLeod. I thought that was interesting.
For years, Kevin Harvick has always run better on Sunday when he runs on Saturday. Now, obviously, he's running 3 Xfinity races this season. This is the first. I think the other 2 are road courses as well, so he can get track time on tracks he hasn't gone to. And he did say in an interview this week that, sim time is what it is, but it's nothing like being actually pulling laps on the track. It's a great track and all that. Like you said, it's built for F1. Are we going to see an amazing race with an amazing finish and everybody's going to be, wanting more and more and more year after year after year? Maybe. Or are we going to see a race where some guy's going to win by 25 seconds and it's going to be boring as hell? We just don't know. But, we'll see. It's one of the new road courses, one of the too many road course races they have. 20 turns, Jesus. It's hard for me to keep track of 4 turns, 20, come on, man. I'm not smart enough for that. Give me a damn oval any day of the week.
Interesting. Some names here. Paul Menard will be running in the truck race. That's very interesting for Thor Sport. And in the friend of a friend type situation, Kyle Tilley's going to be in the 78 car for Live Fast Motorsports with Frankie Kerr, the chief mechanic. Kyle Tilley, those who follow IMSA, is a P2 driver, prototype driver based in Indianapolis. ERA Motorsports has an IMSA program as well as a vintage component to it. My buddy helps run the vintage side of it. And it'll be interesting to see this is his first time in a cup car, no practice. He's just going to go in there and run it. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out for him.
But it's funny because Jennifer Joe Cobb can't run Talladega. But whatever.
There is something going on there. I'm not sure. I don't want to even speculate, but yeah,
it's good. I like the fact that, because of the more road course races and stuff, this is the first time that we've had road course ringers coming in running these cars in years, because they didn't need them after a while because there was more and more and more road course racing and these guys got better at it. But when I was 10 years ago, Boris Said was in every race and all that kind of stuff. You don't see that anymore. And I think it's exciting and all that, and best of luck to all of them. But we'll see. Like I said, I have no idea what to expect this weekend. I hope it's great. I hope it's phenomenal, and maybe it'll give me a new love and appreciation for road course racing. But 20 turns is 16 too many.
Got to talk to our friends at Road America, of course. The 4th of July weekend, we're going to have the Xfinity Series as well as the Cup Series up at Road America for the first time since 1956. They announced a sponsorship. It's going to be the Jockey Made in America 250 NASCAR Cup Series race, July 4th. Jockey International, 145-year-old brand recognized, and that's not the age of your underwear. That's the age of the company. Title sponsor of the NASCAR Cup Series at Road America on the 4th of July. That is going to be quite the incredible event. So fans that have gone up to Road America on other weekends, whether it's IndyCar weekend, the Vintage weekend, or IMSA, they're restricting parking. You have to buy a parking pass if you want to park inside the grounds for the 4th of July. So contact roadamerica.com if you want to purchase a parking pass. They're flying out the window. Hopefully there are some left. Otherwise, generally what's going to happen is they're going to be busing fans from nearby Plymouth to the racetrack. back and forth. They're going to have shuttles running all day, kind of similar what they were going to do with the golf match at Kohler, right?
Why are they restricting parking?
I don't know. I have a feeling. I'm just a guess that this is a NASCAR deal.
It better
could be,
well,
and it could be with Road America. Okay, if you've been to Road America, and if you ever followed somebody who's never been there before, and it would just cause chaos because the roads are narrow, they're small, and if you don't know where you're going, it's really easy to just be driving, and next thing you know, there's a people lined up, and I think they're trying to avoid that. That's my guess.
So if you've got people, and I've been to Road America many times, I still don't know where the hell I'm going. But think that you would hire, 20, 25 more guys to sit, or, ladies to direct traffic and point the way. And then that way you're not losing half your parking revenue that's coming in the door. But what do I know?
And then don't forget, this is big. Don't miss the vintage NASCAR party happening Saturday night, July 3rd at Seepkins Resort in downtown Elkhart Lake. We're going to have several NASCAR vintage cars and some other race cars on display, plus a DJ. And maybe you might even see Jeff and I doing a live podcast among other celebrities at Seepkins on July 3rd. So it's a work in progress. If they want to put up with us, we'll see. And it certainly is going to be an interesting weekend, but I'm just kind of not a warning, but I'm just be advised that it's going to be different from other Road America weekends. I remember being up there for Champ Car and Kart in the late 90s or early 90s when you had Nigel Mansell. It was a zoo. It was really tough to get around, and I think that's what they're concerned about. They don't want a situation where somebody gets there 2 hours before the race and the race starts and they're not even where the corner they wanted to be or whatever. They're trying to avoid that.
It'll be interesting, like you said, it'll be a little bit different, but they always put on a good show at Road America and all that. The staff that works there is always really
it's
great.
A top-notch staff. John Everett and the group there, and it is. And St. John saw there, it's now a barbecue. So you'll be able to get some brisket, whatever you want, NASCAR weekend or whatever weekend you go up there, Jeff. So it should be interesting. There's some changes. There's changes every year. They try and upgrade something every, keep raising the bar. So it should be fun. July 4th weekend, don't get up to Road America Cup Series back in Wisconsin. You've wanted a cup race for many, many years. You're now getting it. So make sure you support the event.
Yeah, it should be fun. And, like you said, come on down to Seekins as well. Steve will give you a lap dance.
Saturday night.
Absolutely. It'd be a fun time.
And final words.
Fingers crossed for this weekend in Austin. I wish I was down there. That's one hell of a town. And I think it's great that that NASCAR is trying to get into the Austin market. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the US. It's just a lot of fun. The whole keep Austin weird thing, I don't understand all that well until you walk down the sidewalk and do a little people watching, and yeah, they're weird down there. But great bars, great food, great everything. So, hopefully everybody that's heading down there has a blast. I can't wait. I'll be sitting on my couch watching.
All right. Prediction. Who do you like?
I don't know. I'm not going to pick Chase Elliott because, he's the favorite. So, I guess I'll go with your boy. Give me Logano.
Interesting. And I'll tell you what, I will go with Chase Elliott. So I'll take the chalk in this one.
All right. Well, we'll see. It should be a good one.
All right.
How you were talking a little bit earlier, real quick, on how Brett Keselowski might be entering the trying to enter the ownership ranks in NASCAR. They're going to have a real big problem here real soon because you've got like Rick Ware Racing that has 4 charters. There's not enough charters. You got teams like supposedly 2311 eventually wants to become a 4-car team. So they need charters. You've got Trackhouse Racing. They don't have a charter.
Yeah.
You have Brad Keselowski. Earnhardt wants to get into running a cup car now with the new car, the next gen car that they're going to be coming out with next year. You need these guys in the sport, and you want these guys as owners. With the way that it's set up right now, it's not a good situation.
I've heard this song and dance before in IMSA, in IndyCar, and other sanctioning bodies. Oh no, we're gonna have too many cars. It's never been a problem. I'm sure NASCAR would love to have that problem.
But when you potentially have to sit there and turn guys down for the
charter,
for the charter,
yeah,
because you've got teams like Rick Ware Racing who are just making laps and not trying to win, then your product suffers, and people aren't going to put up with that for a long time.
Well, we'll see. I like I said, I've heard this before, but it's we're going to have too many cars. We need to cap them. IndyCar was saying 7-8 years ago, we need to put a cap on it. Otherwise you end up like with ARCA with 18 cars.
With the way that the model is, unless you have a charter, why are you going to spend all that money when you're asking these people to throw down huge investments and they might not even make the races?
That's why Junior says, well, exploring it. It could happen, because if they can't get a charter, they ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
But you also, like I said, you have Jack Roush, how old is Jack Roush? 82, 84? What's in place? What happens? I don't know,
Well, and Rick Hendrick didn't look like a spring chicken when he was.
True, yeah. And Ricky, let's face it, Ricky was supposed to take over. That was, they had a progression. Unfortunately, they had the plane crash. And that's what you see, like with NASCAR, with Ben Kennedy. Ben Kennedy's going to be running NASCAR in 10 years.
Right.
That's the way it's going to be. And Ricky Hendrick was supposed to be running Hendrick Racing, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't ever worry about having not enough or too many cars. It's never an issue. So, all right, We're running out of time. We got to cut this short here, but we got a lot of exciting content coming up. I just did an interview that I posted yesterday in Elliott Castro Neves. We got NASCAR with Jeff Orloski. We got Tony DeZino coming aboard. We'll be talking IndyCar with him. We got Guy Hobbs. We have David Hobbs will be back talking Formula One with us. So a lot of exciting stuff. Some other people too that are interested coming aboard. So this is going to be pretty neat. What one of the things that we're doing with the final inspection show, we had everything on one block. This way we're able to do NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars. We're going to be doing some short track stuff. Jeff is going to be doing some short track stuff too. So a lot of exciting things. Please like and subscribe. The Traction Reaction podcast, also on YouTube, the Traction Reaction YouTube channel too. We'll be posting content on there too. So looking forward to chatting with you, seeing you guys at the races this summer as we're opening up from this pandemic. Can't come soon enough. Let's hope the weather holds off too, because the last thing we need is rainouts when we can finally start doing stuff again. So Jeff,
yeah, definitely.
It's been a blast.
Subscribe, tell your friends. It was great to see, Steve. I went down last Saturday night down to Route 66 in Joliet and saw, Tony Stewart's All-Stars, sprint cars down there. And that was a good time, good turnout. It was cold, but the racing was great. It was phenomenal.
Excellent. We will see you again next week, and we'll get